involved with playing in the music community here, and of course I've had Jan-Rico Scott, who's a Grammy-winning drummer for the Derek Trucks Band, and I know you guys have been friends for several years. You know, I hear that you guys are going to be doing some dates with the great Earl Klugh, and wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, here's what's crazy. My CD comes out May 11th, like I said, and I literally get on a plane to go to LA with Earl Klugh on May 12th. And Jan-Rico Scott has been a friend of mine for going on 10 years now. I first met him when I was playing with Colonel Bruce Hampton in the Fiji Mariners, 97 to 2000, and we jammed together. He would come Derek Trucks, sat in all the time, and he's been with Derek now, I think, about 16 years.
Right.
So we kind of made that contact. I recorded a CD in 2000 called Soul Cloud, and Jan-Rico actually played drums on a couple cuts. With Jimmy Herring, was a featured guest as well, who's now with Widespread Panic.
And I believe that's when we first met, because that's the first CD that I recall you giving to me to listen to.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was really kind of Jan-Rico's, our first like studio experience, and we just kind of remained friends over these years. And he's actually worked with Earl on and off the Derek thing. Somehow that's worked out incredible for him for 3 years with Earl. And so he kind of facilitated that connection for us. And actually I'm playing with Earl tomorrow on TV, Good Day Atlanta, Fox. And so, but yeah, so I'm doing some dates with him and Jan-Rico on drums. And we're, Bob James is actually involved on some of these.
Right now, I want to do with Bob's Music Connection is point people in giving, you know, and of course, it's a kind of an awareness broadcast, or not really a public service announcement, but in some ways it is,
right,
concerning ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and I think there's a show tied in with that you're going to be playing with Earl. If you want to pitch that right now as well.
Up. Actually, this whole Earl thing just kind of fell into place, you know, just real recently. And one of the first shows we have coming up is actually next week here in Atlanta, the Variety Playhouse. It's a great room.
What's the date on that?
It's April 26th. It's a Monday night, and it's Earl Klugh, Boney James, Mindy Abar, Joey Somerville. Jan-Rico's playing drums. I'm playing bass. We're the house rhythm section for all those artists. And so, but it's I think it's like $75 or $100 a ticket. But it's basically to raise money for ALS, and it's a great cause, and it's actually for a lady, Deborah, who is basically a radio personality that really helped Earl's career, Boney's career, all those careers of those artists. And she is just, I think, recently being diagnosed with ALS. And so
right, because really, they have no cure for that at this point.
There is no cure. There's not. And there's a lot of offsprings of that, you know, from ALS. Lou Gehrig ataxia, which I'm quite familiar with, and some other things. But basically, so that first show is to raise money and awareness about that. And I don't recall the doctor's name. I think it's Dr. Summers. I could be wrong on that, but he's an Emory physician. I mean, he might teach there, but he practices there, and he's going to be kind of a guest speaker in between us playing, and he's going to kind of communicate more about it. So. If you're in the area, if you hear this before that date, then come down. If not, you know, just look it up, because there's a lot of information out there about the disease.
Right. Well, I want to just, you know, tip my hat to you in being involved with that as well.
That's an Earl thing. I had nothing to do with that. He just pulled me into that, and I'm glad to give him myself for that. It's a great cause.
And that is an absolutely great cause. Now, swinging back to your Africa with Love CD, who are some of the musicians that you have playing on it?
Well, I wanted to keep it somewhat consistent, so the rhythm section is basically the same. I have Tyrone Jackson, Hot Shoe recording artist, is a great piano player here in town, plays some keys on it.
Right. Well, Tyrone and you and Future Man did a benefit for Fat Boy Riding.
For Fat Boy, that's right.
That's right, and helping raising money for musicians in New Orleans.
That's right.
So thank you for that.
Absolutely. In fact, I think there's videos floating around of that very thing, isn't there?
There are.
Yeah. So Tyrone is great. A young cat named Brian Carl playing guitar. I actually call him the sound sculptor because he is a guitarist, but he uses a lot of pedals and creates like delays. You know, closest thing would be like the Edge of U2. It's kind of in that vein, and that was just kind of what I was hearing, a lot of soundscaping type of stuff on guitar. A guy named...
And you were talking about the drummer on the CD.
A guy here in Atlanta named Wayne Vire. Facebook him. Wayne Vire, really talented dude, played drums, played percussion on it, all kinds of crazy percussion stuff. A young cat named Brian Carl on guitar, and I've deemed him the sound sculptor because he's very much like the Edge of U2. It's a lot of pedals, a lot of delay, a lot of atmospheric type stuff. So that was like the core rhythm section. Piano, drums, guitar. And then I had some guest vocalists. I had a Dove Award winner, Seth Condry, and I actually co-wrote the To Africa with Love title song together. A great friend of mine named Charlie Wood, who lives in London, who's an incredible artist. He's got a lot of CDs out, and you know, you just have to check his stuff out. Another guy I was introduced to named Abbas Bouzfrain, who's actually from Algeria, which is part of Africa, and he sings in Arabic and he sings in English, and so the song's kind of like half and half, and that's kind of what we wanted, but I really wanted to put that flavor because it obviously ties in the CD a little bit. And then lastly is a cat named Shenhua Hawk, who sang on a song called Jerusalem, and there's a whole story about that song, but he's another guest vocalist. So basically 4 vocalists, house rhythm section, and then I did multiple bass takes, you know, the bass part, bass chords, bass melody. I actually did do some real generic pads and keys type stuff, some atmospheric stuff. I did do some of that, but there's just a lot of bass on it, and that's pretty much I think pretty much everybody that participated. And then it was mastered by Ken Love out of Master Mix in Nashville, Tennessee, which happened in February of 2010, February 11th actually.